Hey everyone, it's Docfire, and it's time for another Docfire Down and Dirty Tech video. And this is I'm back with the dye rag here. You see here, and you guys know that these dye rags, at least the first release of them, are being shipped with the low pressure spring pack in them. So that's what's in here right now, and I'll show you what the pressure range is with this. I'm using a Ninja tank that's set right about, or a Ninja tank rag, which set right about 825 psi. Right now, this is all the way off, so I'm at a 0. It actually has a little air going through. You can hear it. All right, and so this rag has settings in it where, or the adjuster has settings in it. So I can go from 0 and it are stops. And so it's going to max out right there. I can't go any further. And so it maxes out right about 220 psi if I get in there. Actually, let's just zoom in with the camera. (220 psi). Sorry about the oil fill. You see it refresh there. So let's back out here. And what we're going to do is we're going to change out this spring pack, all right? So let's degas it. And I'll probably fast forward through a lot of this. Take off the dye rag tester, modified. Just pull it off the tank one down here, it's easier. All right, so we're going to take off the top cap. Oh, and right here are the 3 factory dye Belleville springs that will make it go to a higher pressure. Let's tap out the spring pack, and I'll show you. There we go. Let's set that right there. Let's bring over this guy right here. So the current configuration to go from essentially, let me get a better pin here. 0 psi to 220 psi. That's approximate. Every system will change a little different, but this is the current configuration. This is, if the piston was in here, that's the way the piston's going. So these double stack ones at the end are towards the end of the piston, and this is towards the base of the piston, the fat end. All right, and we're going to go to and there's 13 Belleville springs in the low pressure configuration. So for you to go high pressure, you need to get 3 more springs from dye, or I have another option for you. And this is the configuration they need to be in, and we're going to put those in there right now and see what it comes out to be. Let's take these springs off. With this configuration is about 180 psi. So we'll put 180, and we'll see what the highest pressure is. The highest pressure, zoom back out. I'm going to try to, that means we're going to unscrew this all the way to where it stops. I think it's going to be right around 600 psi. And I'll just zoom it in. It's easier. Sorry guys, and it's kind of slow at 600. That is a really slow response. So and I like when I'm lowering the pressure, I like to degas it a little bit. A little bit easier on all the components. But let's say right around that 350 range, that's where a lot of the free flow markers are going to be, give or take. It's reasonably fast. Now this is an oil fill gauge, so you gotta you know, be cognizant of that. That's that oil fill gauge. So that's the high pressure version. So I said it went up to about 600 psi, just maybe a little bit over. We'll say 610. We'll just say 600, because the reality is most markers out there are either going to run in this range for low pressure, or they're going to be, this is 180 to 600, and the middle range between 180 to 600, let's say 200 to 600, is, you know, right around what, 400 psi. And so that's the medium range on it. So let's see with another option out there. We're going to unscrew this. We're going to degas there. Pull that off. We're going to zoom out. And what I have is I have a set of Docfire custom made in the USA Belvus. And I spec these out. They're special. Buy these from a US company. And it's not Big Mastercar. You guys can go buy them off of Big Mastercar, and good luck. I've tried it. They are different specs, a lot different. So I don't buy from it. Mastercar has great stuff on it. I don't buy a lot from there anymore. I'm finding that I can go direct to different companies, and they have a lot more options. Mastercar really has like the standard sizes of things, and not the other sizes. But so we're gonna knock this out. We're gonna pull this stack off and put it on a screwdriver. So I have it here. I could probably measure a little bit easier that way. We'll set this off to the side, and we're going to put on Docfire spring stack. So this spring stack right here is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 discs in the same configuration as the low profile version of the Belleville spring. So it goes, we're going to stack these on here, right? And let's, these guys right here. So that's these guys. So we're going to say, these are the ones that are the, I'm going to draw this out. It's going to be the same as stock. So same as stock 13. Okay, and we'll see what the pressure is on this. So, okay, this one with it all the way. Sure, it's all the way down. Yeah, it's all the way down. We're going to zoom in here. So this one, I start at the lowest pressure, about 80 psi, 75 to 80 psi. Okay, and now we're going to slowly raise this up. I like to cycle it every once in a while. And we're going to go up, keep going, right there. So it maxes out right at about 340. So 75 to 340. Let's look at how fast it is. It seems a little fast for me, but I don't know. You know, it's always hard to tell on these gauges. But we're going to say 75 to 3. Ah, man, we're 345-ish. 340. We'll just say 340. Take the 13 out. I could add a 14 to it, but I don't want to on this one. I'm just going to take this stack and I'm going to put it back onto here so I don't lose the configuration. Set over here. Now this configuration, let me get the little stack holder. I got one over here. I don't. Here we go. This configuration is kind of close to the configuration that we did on the 16, but we're only using 14. Okay, I want to find a happy medium. I really think that most stuff out there, most autocockers And most things out there that anything above, let's say 450 psi is, yeah, there just isn't a lot out there that's running that high in the autococker world. And most of the stuff where these markers or where these regs will be used. So this configuration is, I have two cupped. My first two are cupped like this, and then from there, then I have another set cupped like that. So I have, let's draw this out. Get my pen here. I think this is a configuration that worked well. I did this last night and I set this off to the side and watch it prove me wrong. So this is 14. 14. So let's start backing it out. 0. $450. Now let's back it all the way out. Let's zoom in for you guys. Pretty fast at 450, so let's start. Okay, let's go right around 350. That's right. There we go. So let's keep backing, screwing it in. Let's go around 250. Really likes that 250 range. So that configuration, I have to draw it out again, is from, zoom out here, we're from about, let's make sure we're 0. Let's back it all the way out, or screw it all the way in, excuse me. Back the pressure all the way down. It's maybe about 5 psi at the bottom, if that, but we'll call it 0 because it's really a big goose egg. 0 to 450. All right, so let me draw this out a little bit better if I can. That disc over there. So that's one option you can do. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Now in here, this is a triple stack and it's fine. So what this does is when they're cupped towards each other in single stacks, it's the rated, whatever they rate this spring at individually. When you double stack them, it essentially kind of almost doubles that pressure, the spring pressure on it. And you triple stack it here, it's going to even increase a little bit more. And so the whole thought process on this is I'm probably not moving these at all. This is probably just like a giant spacer in there, and this is getting me to the right length on the shaft. So if I were to look at these guys, all right, so I'm going to try to put them right next to each other. These guys are probably, this is my stack. This is the factory high pressure stack. This is probably maybe a spring. I could probably add one more spring to this, which we're going to do. We're going to add a 14th spring to this, okay, to see what options we have with it. And we'll do that on the next round. We're going to add this last spring, which is right here. I got it. We're going to add a 14th, and it's going to be opposing. Make sure everything works good here. Going to add us a little bit more length. Whoops. So now when I add that 14th spring, and I compare stack heights, we're right about exactly the same. This is the new one we're going to put in, and that's the old one. So let's put that off to the side. We're going to basically say same as stock, but what I did is I added a 14th. I added one right here. So this is the stack I'm putting in. And so we'll say not stock, we'll say Docfire 14. All right. So let's see what that does. Okay, this one, I'm right at 200. Sound familiar? At the lowest pressure, 200. We could look at how fast it responds at 200. That's by adding just one spring. Really fast. I'm going to go up to 350. Okay, the 350 rate. Fairly quick. Now these are US made springs. Okay, so this has a 200 to 400 range. Probably a little over 400, probably a 420 range. So 200 to 420. Let's drop it all the way back down. That's where we are with this. Good range. So 180 to 420 on that. And that's with putting in the the 14th in the Docfire spring. So let me zoom out. So that's with putting in the 14 in the Docfire spring setup. So we take all of our stuff here. We start with Dye's Original, and if you have a gun that runs within this pressure and you're using this reg on it, keep with this. Okay. If you get the 16 springs ones, if you're doing that, or if you don't, right now I don't know if they're selling these. Maybe here in the future. If you hit the 16 spring, you're going to have a 180 to 600, which is pretty good range, right? It's actually a decent range on it. I'm not gonna lie, it's good. And so then, if we use my springs, the 13 spring combo is 75 to 340. So this will probably be good for a, the halfway between this, let's just say 70, or let's say 100 to 300 is, 175, 200 PSI, give or take 180. This is that Merlin, that low pressure stuff. It'd be good for that with my springs. If you do the giant spring stack, which is 14 springs, is what you're going to get in a kit for me. 14 springs in this configuration, you're going to be 0 to 450. All right, so you have a big range there. Now the reality with this is what I'm doing here is these 3 center ones is basically acting as a spacer. So I have, I essentially have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 springs that are standard spring rate. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 springs that are dual spring rate. And it's there's a name for it. If you go look up Belleville Springs, the company, they talk about this configuration. And basically all of the configurations are dual rate. It's a dual rate setup. And so these springs will collapse faster than these, and these will come in later. So it's almost like a dual rate spring on a car suspension. It's nice and soft for take up the soft bumps, and then as it goes down, it absorbs a little bit more energy, stiffens up a little bit. So anyway, so 0 to 400 with that, and then finally we have the Docfire 14 spring, which is the stock configuration, adding a 14th in the standard matter, and we get from 180 to 420. It'll be interesting to see what if we take this and we invert this one spring and see if we can raise this pressure at all. Let's do that as the final one. So it's going to be, instead of this, it's going to be, we're going to have bop, bop, then 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. There should be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, and then we're going to try that. So there'll be a lot of different configurations that you can do, but we'll see what this pressure is. All right, so, okay, so this is interesting. This is, I start off right about 160, so we'll right on here. I'm going to cross this out. So 160. You guys look at this. Really fast at that lower range, huh? 160. 250. Pretty fast. Let's keep going. We're at the 350 mark. Pretty fast. I think I like this one the best. This is probably the best configuration. All right, so we have all the range from 160 to 440. All right, so I'm here for our final wrap up, and I'm adding this video on to the other one, and I'll probably see at the other one that I'm going to be adding this on because I did one more configuration. So let's go back to the configurations real quick. Let's zoom in here. Up too far. Okay, we have the stock configuration, which is 0 to 220. We have the stock, which is a 13 Belleville springs. The stock 16 Belleville springs is 180 to 600 psi. Then you have the Docfire Belleville springs made in the USA, 13, and stock configuration is 75 to 340. Then we have the Docfire 14 Belleville, which basically added the 14th onto the end there, 0 to 450. This is a nice range here. Then I made a little change to that configuration. I had 180 to 420, kind of changed out where the middle point of that was. Did a third configuration of it, and this is a 0 to 160. This is still 14 springs, and I did a fifth configuration. And basically, I took my 14 where I had this triple stack here. You see that triple stack there? Was really just acts as a spacer, and I converted that to, I just flipped it around. Oh, there we go. I just flipped it around there. So it was a triple stack here, and basically I made double, 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 double. So basically, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these are double the spring pressure, and then 2 or 4 of them, I guess, whichever way you look at it, are the standard spring pressure. And this configuration, which I have in the system right now, is a 0 to 500. So right now, we're at 0. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see the pressures. 0, we're going to start cranking this out. We're going to go up to that about 220 mark. Very fast. We're going to go up to that 320 mark, 340. Still fast. There's the 350. That's 320 to 350. Still fast. We're going to go up to 450. Starting to slow down a little bit. It tapped out at 500. So this is from 0 to 500. I kind of like this configuration the best. So you have these options. You'll get the build sheet to decide what you want to do. You'll get this sheet right here. It will be included. And you have some options out there. I like the last one. That gives the most variance. So, but you don't have to do that one. I think it's the quickest. So anyway, that's it. Docfire.